Hey everybody, Peter Lynch here. You're getting this email because you are a TDA account holder with us. And there's a transition going on this summer between TDA and Schwab. So back in 2020, Schwab acquired TDA. And now during this summer, they're going to go through the transition phase. And ultimately during Labor Day weekend, they're going to shift everything from TDA to Schwab. So what does that mean for you? I'm just going to give you a quick update of the timeline that you have to kind of keep your eye on. And we're going to be doing everything behind the scenes. So nothing changes as far as us working with you and you calling us when you need information on your account, or you need to do an exchange, or you need to do some kind of a transaction. That's always going to stay the same no matter what, once it's TDA and then when it moves over to Schwab. The big thing right now is just the timeline. In the next week or two, you're going to get a letter from Schwab and from TD that's going to tell you about this acquisition that they're going to go through in September. There's nothing that you have to do on that. It's just going to be a letter. What we're recommending most clients do is just maybe set up a separate file folder and take your stuff, read it, put it in that folder, and then when we sit down, or if you give us a call, we can go through all that stuff for you. So the first letter is going to be in another week or two. It's going to tell you about what's going on. Nothing needs to be done on your behalf. The next thing is probably early August, so about a month from now, you're going to get another letter from them, and it's going to tell you how to set up your new ID and your new username for the new account, which will be ready at the end of Labor Day weekend. And then about 2 weeks prior to that, that's when everything is going to kind of freeze, the routine type stuff. So if we need distributions, if we need to do some transitions or transactions, that'll probably freeze for about 2 weeks until we get to Friday, September 1st. So that's the Friday before Labor Day. So at the end of that day, probably around 8:30 that night, it's gonna be like a blackout period. So we're not gonna have access to your accounts. You're not gonna have access to your accounts until that following Tuesday morning, which is after Labor Day. You'll have access to your accounts again. And at that point, that's when Corey and I will help you make sure that everything's on board, make sure that your IDs are working, your logins are working, and that everything's working smoothly. There'll be some other things that we have to do at that point, but we'll let you know on a need-to-know basis. Right now, we don't want you worrying about this during your summertime, so enjoy your summer. Corey and I are going to be working on the behind the scenes, so we're doing other things over the next couple of months, trying to make sure that we're getting everything moved over to the system in the right way. But for right now, one big thing I want to let you know is that TDA and Schwab will never, ever ask you for any private information. Corey and I might call you and ask you for that, but they won't. So be very careful of hacks and phishing emails that may be coming out. This is a pretty large transaction that's going on. So hackers may have some indication that things are happening here, but don't give any of your information, any of your private information to anybody. All right, just if there is a question on that, just give us a call. In the meantime, you can go on to, there'll be some links below this video when I'm finished with this, that Corey's email is going to be on there. That's his contact information. Reach out to him if you have any questions. He can probably answer them via email or just pick up the phone and he'll give you a call. Secondly, there'll be Schwab Alliance FAQs, right? Frequently asked questions. What does this mean? It's a good portal and they keep this thing up to date. So throughout the whole course of the summer, they're going to be updating information on there. That's probably a good place for you to go and just check it out if you feel like it. If you don't, just stay at the beach, stay at the pool, and do whatever you need to do. We're on that on a regular basis, so we'll be up to speed on all that. And the other thing you can do is if you are on the TDA advisor or the client portal, if you just go to our website, lynchfinancialgroup.com, you click onto the client login, you'll be able to get into the TDA account. Go in there and just double check some of your information. Some of the stuff we can't change on there, such as like email addresses. So if you have a better email address, you have a new email address, if you want to update your phone information, most of this stuff is pretty accurate, but for this transition, it's easier to get that stuff right at the beginning than have to change it later on, because we don't know all the different forms that may have to be filled out at that point. So just make it easier on everybody if you just kind of double check it, look at some of the information. If it's accurate, just leave it alone. If it's not, see if you can change it. If you can't change it, just give us a call and say, hey, I'd like to change my mailing address, my cell phone number, or something like that. Okay, so that's everything you need to do on our end. Any questions, obviously give us a call, but we're going to continue to give you some updates with emails, and we're going to continue to give you updates on video if we can, just to keep you posted. But there's really nothing for you to do except don't give anybody your information. okay, except for if it comes from Corey or I. All right, so enjoy the beginning of your summer, and we'll be back in touch with you soon. Thank you very much.